Hi, I'm Celia. Welcome back to Conscious Dream Academy's podcast slash YouTube situation. So happy to have you here. I have had a really curious last few days. And to follow up on my last video where it said I would like to follow up on my last video and add a couple things if you watched it. That entire experience of having the guide show me the movie, I wear an Oura ring, and it's really good about tracking my sleep. Even if I take a nap, like, it knows what's up. Super smart. And I just wanted to share for that experience where I went through into like kind of the altered state of consciousness. The Oura ring did not track any kind of nap, so I wasn't asleep. I was just in like a meditative state, I guess you could say. So in the last few days, I had a couple dreams, sharing some information, some health information. and last night I set my dream intention on basically, how much do you want me to share? Because I'm like, it's like part of me is like, well, I don't want to piss people off, And so that's like a whole thing. Like, how much do you share? I'm not going to look at this because it'll distract me. This is my dream journal. And the dream was like a share. And I could tell you the details. Basically, first of all, you have this theme in my life of someone told me about how I have a lot of fire in my chart. So I hadn't really realized that and never really paid any attention. So I've lately been letting like my fiery side come out. And in the dream, there's this kid and she's being playful and she shoots me with a fire gun thing, and like my hair lights on fire. And it's like, in the past, when I've let my fiery side out, I'll have visions where there will be fire. And it's just like the universe acknowledging, hey, like, you're awakening, or, congrats, like, good job. Even to the point where like I smell the smoke, like I can feel the heat, like it's really cool. So last night's dream, when I asked how much should I share, there was a definite fire situation. And then the other component was, I'm in a house and I open the front door and this like huge intimidating dog comes through, like seemingly like a wild dog. And I'm like, I don't know. It's like, does this dog live here? I don't want to like shut it outside in case it lives here and I'm just like not letting the dog in the house and it runs away. So, but then there's another dog and there, just like a series of these large, wild, intimidating looking dogs. And there's symbolism for me. This might be for possibly for others, but definitely for me is my dogs represent and they're an extension of myself in my dreams, is what I figured out. So generally it's my dogs are out running around and there's like wild animals and I'm like scared that my dogs, there's so much fear, like I must protect them. And it's about, there's this whole concept of that I synchronistically, divinely became aware of and learned about, of the wild woman within, the archetype. And for a dude, it'd be like same thing, just for the dude. But So usually it's either my dogs or any dogs, they're external to the house. I feel like I need to protect them. Well, with this dream, the wild dogs were coming inside the house. And by the way, my response to the girl with the flamethrower and my response to the dogs was not a good experience. Like, I was scared. I was unsure. I was like, there was all these things I was worried about. And this is a theme in my dreams where I'm being shown something, and that's really kind of the point of the dream, is what I'm being shown. But the other aspect is my reaction. And what I've realized is my reaction is a separate story. For example, because this has happened multiple times and someone pointed it out to me. It's like, the girl throwing the fire, did I feel any pain? Was she being malicious? She was literally playing. Like, this was like her toy gun thing. She was just playing. So I was like freaking out, but what I didn't realize is like that fire wasn't actually hurting me. And the dogs weren't hurting me. So in the past, there's been dreams where it's like there's fighting going on around me, and so I'm like terrified and I have to escape. And then a friend said to me, was anybody hurting you? And I'm like, no. And they're like, okay, so you were protected. And like the point of the dream was like you were protected despite what's going on externally. It's like, oh, you know? So basically the dream last night where I ask, how much can I share? Like, am I safe to like share, even though, you know, everything is a maybe. You know, I have beliefs, but it's all a maybe. It's like, okay, right now I'm learning this, I'm getting this perspective, and like maybe that's true, but I'll play around with that and invite certain things into my life and try them out. But like, I'm not saying like it's this and nothing else. And then additionally, tomorrow or later today, I could shift the way I think of something. So anytime you come to one of these videos and hear what I have to say, I could have changed my mind by the end of the day. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I could have shifted my mindset. That's the same thing. But it's just all constantly evolving as I learn. So, okay. There was something I wanted to say, but now I went off on a tangent. So last night's dream, it's like seemingly, like when I first woke up, I was like, oh my gosh, I was lit on fire. You know, all these wild dogs were everywhere. Like I should not share because I think, oh, someone's going to light me on fire and it's going to be like chaos. But then I sat with it. I'm like, okay, what happened in the dream? What in the past, what is fire represented? Okay. Was I hurt by the fire? No. Was the person sending the fire my way trying to hurt me? They were playing and they just wanted to play with their toy fire shooter. And then these dogs, so if the house represents my psyche and the dogs are the wild woman, representing the wild woman aspect of my psyche, and I'm the one that opened the door and welcomed all these wild dogs in. So I just love it. I love it. So you have to look at you don't have to do whatever you want, but looking at the dreams, you got to give it a second to marinate and be like, not really, it's important to look at how did I feel about the change, and how did I feel about what was going on around me? That's like a whole thing to look at. But what was actually happening and not your reaction? These are like separate things to look at. So with that being said, the dream telling me, by you sharing more, you are embracing the fiery side of you, which is a part of you. And so, of course, I want to do that. And by you allowing the wild dogs in, instead of being scared of them, it's like you're stepping into that side of yourself as well, which on the path of growth is a win. Winning. So, a couple days ago, I had a dream, and I was being mirrored something. I noticed recently I was eating more sugar. I'd be like, I'm driving, I'm like, oh, I want to go and grab like a latte, and those have can easily have a lot of sugar in them, and either a baked good or a breakfast sandwich. And I realized I was like getting out of my regular routine. I was like doing more of that, and I'm like, what's going on, and in the dream, it says, the girl says, I have an eating disorder called anesthesia. And I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I knew exactly. But I know what anesthesia is, but I Googled it anyways, and it's just to like flat out read it. And it's like a drug used to stop the feeling of pain. And anything can be used, as you know, probably, to anesthetize yourself from feeling. And so when people consume any drug, whether they're shopping or drinking alcohol, using marijuana, sex, is like food. It's like so many things you can use in a moment where you're like, you might not consciously do this, because a lot of times we just do the thing and we're not like fully processing why we're doing the thing. We're not all like being that mindful necessarily. But so with food, it's like, okay, I want some sugar. Okay, let me go get some sugar. When it's what this dream was like really pointing out to me is, okay, the eating disorder, if you want to call it that, which they did in the dream. So it's the eating disorder of anesthesia. So it's like, okay, I want to do something so that I don't have to feel my feelings. I don't have to feel whatever pain I have inside. And the pain may not be like insanely huge, so you don't even know what you're feeling the pain about. Like every time you think, I want a cookie, are you like, this is the specific pain that I'm having and I need a cookie? I think that the feelings are a little bit more buried a lot of the time. So I woke up that morning, I was like, damn, I vow to feel some, use a modality to feel some feelings before I have my first meal of the day. So before I ate, which I was like breaking my fast at noon, I wrote out, my plan was to write 3 pages in my journal, but I did like probably half of that And then, you just write like, hey, what feelings am I having? Just literally write anything. Just allow the whatever's going on to literally leave through the pen. And it's like so many modalities. Like you could be like, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna talk to my friend, I'm gonna like do an energetic like shaking thing to move the energy. There's like so many things you could do, but for sure writing is gonna help with something, I think. So anyhow, I wrote out how I was feeling, and then I ate absolutely perfectly the rest of the day. I never like reached for anything outside of what was medicine for my body. But one thing that did happen is I apparently, by realizing, oh, I'm blocking myself off from feeling some of my feelings and writing it out, the rest of the day I like was having a lot of feelings. It's like I opened the door to a lot of feelings that needed to come out. So then the rest of the day I was like crying, and it was like a highly heightened emotional day. But apparently there was like a constipation of feeling, and that was kind of turning into me having more sugar. And so the dream was like, hey, eating disorder of anesthesia. And so I just feel like that was a really powerful dream as far as being very clear with, hey, here's what's going on. Like, this is what's going on, but let's just like dumb this down for you. And so it's helped me be more mindful. And, we take the basics for granted, and the basics are what works. So make sure you're finding your way of feeling your feelings. And if you're interested in, stepping away from a vice that isn't serving you, a great thing to do would be writing in the morning or anytime throughout the day. And just like, it's a real thing. Like, we are having a human experience, and the experience is to feel. And so we're going to feel the whole spectrum of emotions, and we can embrace that and allow ourselves to feel what feels good, what doesn't feel good, and know that it's all happening for you, and that by fully feeling it, instead of running away from the feeling and suppressing it, we can allow the feeling to transmute, to move through us. And then we don't need to stay in that feeling as long, really, because we will have worked through it. So then the next night, my dream, the piece of my dream I want to share is, it's a short dream. Actually, they think this was my nap yesterday. I have found, as far as alcohol and spirituality, increasing your consciousness, further learning to listen to my body and respect what it needs. Alcohol does not go together with any of that for me. And so I just have found a way to just make a choice to not participate. And my life is like my health, my decision making, just my energy levels, like saying, leaving alcohol in the past is like a really epic thing to do, honestly, for me, and probably for anybody, but anybody who doesn't want to do that, they just don't realize it yet. Sorry, not sorry. So Okay, so recently I was around some friends that were drinking, and they and like we went to leave, and my friend had this big drink, and she's like, "Oh, do you want to help me finish it?" And I'm just thinking like, "No," like, but then I went ahead and had one sip, and it was a liquor drink. I was like, "Okay, whatever." Well, so in this nap experience, it's really short. Someone handed me a drink. I took a sip, and it was actually like a really big sip that turned into like an instant blackout. And when I blacked out, I instantly transported into a scene. By the way, I don't think this was a dream. I think this was a vision, because when it was finished and I opened my eye, like, I wasn't, there's like, it feels different when you come out of, like, you're waking up and coming out of a vision. So it's like, this was like a vision. Like, I was already awake and I was having the vision. Not that that matters, but just as far as the experience, it feels different, and I don't know. So my friend gives me the drink. I have the sip. I instantly black out and transport. And I'm in this scene, and I'm always like very in awe of when I'm in a state of consciousness where this scene looks more real than this waking life. So that's what the case was. And basically, I'm looking down, like right here in front of me to the side. There's this big creature, and it looks like a white furry, you know? Like, I don't see their face. I just see the arm and like kind of the shoulder. But they're at a control panel. There's all these buttons, and like, I want to say there's like a joystick. And so I'm in this like super real, like realer than this scene, and I'm observing this creature who's working at a control panel. And then I'm just like, oh my gosh. I open my eyes, and it took me a second to like process, because I was just like, because when you're shown a version of reality that's just like so real that it's like you're there, and you're being shown something, you can like tell you're being shown something like beyond what you are normally allowed to perceive. It's like you're seeing behind the scenes kind of thing. Yeah. um it's just like kind of shocking a little bit. But then, as I just like took a bit to think about it, I'm like, okay, I feel like that's like a creature that's doing whatever they're doing with the control panel to control a human. And then I thought about it more, and I'm like, okay, but it has to do with alcohol. And I'm like, okay, what about if, you drink alcohol, and then like the energy, so this was my first thought. It's like the energy of the alcohol, because with like different plants, that's like a whole thing, but like it has its own energy. And so like every time you consume, like, let's say honey, like you could like talk to the honey, and you're like working with the energy of the honey and the healing, whatever the traits are of the honey. Or like rose, if you consume rose, there's certain it's like the plant has personality, and like you're taking on the personality and the energy of the plant. Well, with alcohol, I thought, okay, with alcohol, the alcohol goes into your system, and then the energy of the alcohol is like taking over your control panel. And so it's not you anymore. You are being controlled by this. In this vision, it was the white, furry looking thing, like a human in a white furry costume. But I didn't see their face, so it's not a human. It's like some creature with arms and probably legs. I couldn't see their legs. But then I Googled this, and the first thing that came up was about how when you, and this is just like this is like a maybe, but I really wouldn't completely disregard it because it kind of feels like a maybe worth considering. So basically, alcohol gets you so relaxed that non-benevolent beings can come in and take over. And for example, I was recently around someone who I don't normally see drink, and the way they were acting when they were drinking, it was actually as if somebody else had come in and made them be like a crazy person, a crazy not nice person. And so if you like consider this idea, you know, what I was being shown is when you consume alcohol, however it's happening, it's allowing someone else to come, a different type, possibly a different being to come in, like you're vulnerable, and make crappy decisions and do crappy things. And so it's like I was already not interested in alcohol, but this just really, like, thinking about it this way made me even less likely to want to be around people consuming alcohol, because just imagine like the person getting drunk. Imagine there's like a creature's like stepped in and taken the wheel and is just like this creepy low vibe creature who's running the show. And it's like, why would you want to be around that? I mean, purposely, unless you're like helping someone or something. But the dream was, or the vision was very clear that it's like there's a different creature running the show. And then this article also went on to talk about how alcohol is so commercialized and so supported by whomever, and mass distributed, and how natural medicines, psychedelics, plant medicine are like basically illegal, when those are what bring you back to nature and are incredibly healing when used appropriately. And I think a lot of people are aware of that situation, but a lot of people are not. And there's a social stigma of, let's celebrate alcohol, when according to my divine guidance, alcohol is allowing some low vibe creature to come in and take over and control you. So the visual was just really intense. And so the dream last night said I should share it. And so here I am sharing it. How do I end this? Basically, a lot of us are living our lives blindly and doing the quote unquote normal things. Personally, in my life, when I was doing the quote unquote normal things, like going to the doctor and doing what the doctor told me, as far as just like prescriptions, and everything revolves around alcohol or numbing out, not feeling our feelings, eating crappy food. There's just, I know personally, I have found a insanely high level of inner peace. And it was by, when I had the car accident and through the healing journey, nothing was helping. And so I just started experimenting in ways I had never experimented, basically completely changing a lot of the basic foundations of my life, things that I'd always done. And I got a little weird. I didn't get weird, but I was like, I'm gonna, fuck around and find out, like, okay, let me learn to feel my feelings. Let me do things and not use alcohol, and let me not eat the food that's actually being advertised to me. Let me meditate and calm my nervous system and break up with pharmaceuticals. And basically, I found inner peace by doing this. So I feel, and in the last few years, since I've been paying attention, my dreams give me wisdom about anything and everything, but definitely about my health. And so I got these messages about the eating disorder of anesthesia and just how serious of a decision it is to consume alcohol. And I feel like there's someone out there that message could help them. And that's all for now. Thank you for listening.